Walk the squawk. Hello and welcome to another episode of Walk the Squawk with myself, Hazel Evans.
And me, Alison McLean. It's episode 7. Episode 7.
Let us just give you a little bit of context right now. We've just been for a beautiful swim out here on the coast of England, let's say, somewhere. We have gone into the rocks, into the caves, into the caverns, and it's one of my special spots where I always like to have a little initiation, like a little connection with nature, and always a sort of little ceremonial swim to let go of the old and welcome the new. So we've just had our first joint swim of the summer, and it's pretty cold still, but that coldness always opens up spaces within the body when you're able to breathe deeply into it. So we are here now lying in the sunshine on the beach. You may hear the waves behind us, and we got talking about intergenerational trauma and
Tribal
trauma indeed, and how that is impacting everybody right here, right now, even without knowing it. And one of the reasons why we're talking about this is because today, actually, there is a gathering of a tribe happening, because I have some very powerful women who are all in my Chalice program, the initiation program, and they are all coming today, and we are beginning the initiation this weekend into the Chalice. And what is that? That is about becoming a clear vessel for consciousness. This is what I guide people through.
Let's discuss this in more detail, because I've asked you about this, like what is the Chalice, right? And the Chalice, and this links to my podcast, episode 20 of The Bat, which is really important. And this is why we're having this discussion, because we've learned so much from that channeling, is that the Chalice is the womb of creation, which is the womb of Mother Earth, which is the deep inner earth, which is also represented as the creation of the womb within the woman. And it's the gift of humanity. Now, what is the gift of humanity? The gift of humanity is the gift of the feminine. And I don't mean the actual feminine. Yes, she is the gift, of course, but it's about the game of love, the game of divine union. And the gift is the gift of creation. They talk about this in all the stories about how humanity was created in God's image, and God's image is He's a creator, and we're creators, and this is the gift of the Chalice, the gift of the feminine, to be able to create and to pass on that gift, right, to the masculine. Yeah, which is the principle of the Mary Magdalene, which people might be familiar with, is that she holds that energy of the Magdalene energy, the sacred, deep, red feminine, the true sacred feminine, holds the coding and the gift to enable the healing of the masculine to come back into sacred union. And that part of that energy is the Chalice. She is the Chalice. That is the Holy Grail energy. And these are the vibrations in which we've been working into, and that's the energy of the Chalice. Yeah, and so that video, because we got on our Prophecy Walkers channel the Holy Grail that I received, filmed during ceremony, and you've been helping me understand and integrate that. And essentially, I'm not only was I healing the mother wound, but I've been receiving the art of creation, which is the gift, the creation of art and the art of creation. And I was having this conversation yesterday, I haven't told you this, when I picked Arena up from the station. I was talking to her about how I've been learning the process of art through creating my podcast, because this latest podcast has taken me 4 weeks to channel. And whereas every other one before that, I thought, I need to get it out weekly. It has to be out Thursday, otherwise people aren't going to listen. And so I've surrendered to the process of art, and it's fabulous. Like this story that I've channeled for the Bat is so big, it's had to come in 2 episodes. And it's about, I'm channeling and I've been trying to do this for 3 years. I've had to heal the sabotage that came into trying to prevent this from being told. As I started channeling the game of love, the true origination of divine union from the original sin, the separation of man and woman, God and goddess. And we were just discussing how all of this filters down through karma, through what happened with the Antichrist, how that shows up today. And essentially what we're talking about here is tribe. We're talking about healing the wounds of tribe and separation, which essentially is the definition of healing, because healing is coming back to divine union. And in order to come back to divine union, you have to heal separation.
Yeah.
Right?
And you can't do it through tolerating everybody's differences. There's a different way. You open up the genius codes through the vibration of love, through that chalice energy, through that sacred feminine energy being activated, sharing that gift of creation, of art, of love with the masculine. We together are opening up that energy, because you are opening yourself up, healing the masculine through that energy of divine love, and through that creation happens. And creation is the expansion of energy which filters into connecting with everybody. It's universal love and the healing of the tribe that then opens.
I know, but let's get real, Hazel. Right, let's get real here. We got nothing left to lose, right?
Yeah.
Let's make this. Let's talk about how this has showed itself through you and I, not the collective.
Right.
Yeah. So you start. Or you give me a thread and I'll open it up for you.
Well, hold on. I was just onto something, and then you said we'll change it. So,
well,
keep going. I need to know more.
I can see how you're making this about everyone else, but what you are talking about is what you have already done. You have shared the gift for me.
Yeah.
We're doing what nobody has ever done before.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying let's get real.
So what's happening right now is that this weekend, while I've already started doing it because the Chalice program opened a couple of months ago and we're meeting in person now, is the sharing of the gift.
You're teaching women how to share the gift with other men, with their partners.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's all through vibration. That's why I share.
Let's explain to people why the gift is so important.
And link it to the tribal thing and the generation trauma that we were talking about.
But also our personal journey. Because the reason we want to talk about tribe today is the difficulty we are having in reconnecting to the purity of the tribe.
Yeah.
And we don't mean social media or people on the street or
people having or having an idea of building a new earth community, but based on the old paradigm hierarchical system of
all the old stories are dead, aren't they?
Yeah.
That exactly that what you're saying, like energetically I can feel, is everything that's out there now is an expectation based on an old reality of karmic filtered down wounds that in this new earth that is already here, already available, doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And we're bringing something completely, entirely new that can only be understood and felt through vibration.
Yeah.
Capiche?
That's why you have to work with me to find out.
Or listen to my videos, I talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
the depth and intricacy and accuracy I go through in my videos, I'm like, where is everyone?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, because the thing is, right, at the moment, you can't heal based on an idea. You can't heal based on knowledge of anything that you've known before. So that means a complete letting go of any attachments. And you might say, well, that's like, pretty kind of holy man kind of stuff. Well, yeah. And there's a whole new vibration in which to live that now. There's like this energy of, let's say, awakening, enlightenment, holy person, etc. And the difference is creation, the energy of creation and art. And this is why I go on so much about art. It's like, if people are going on their spiritual journey and they're not making art, they're not creating, there is something missing.
Right.
And this is what is stopping tribes coming together, and this is stopping people recognizing each other as true soul family. Not, oh, I've built a soul business and I've built my worth on any kind of what I've built on today. All of that doesn't matter, because through the light of my love that I have awoken, I can sense whether it's true or not, and whether it's founded on the old way or the new way.
Yeah.
What do you want me to say?
Well, that's difficult to understand, right? This is why we work so well together, because you're like this big, all-encompassing Pisces, and I'm this direct Capricorn, right? I can swim in the waters and on the mountains, right? Which I was a beetle there. Okay. Yeah. So this is what I'm talking about, right? You talk about art, but from living it with you and finally understanding it, we have to explain to people what the gift of art means and why it's important for people to understand, and why you think it's so important. Because you talk about it all the time, but you don't explain why it's so important. So I'm going to help you translate that.
Excellent.
Right? The reason the art of creation is so important for men and women is because the tribal wounds of, and we're going to talk about this later, genocide and stuff like that, karmic stuff, has taken away our passion, our connection, and our inspiration, and our know-how, a remembrance on how to create from fear, these deep hidden fears of being killed or enslaved. Loads of different acronyms variations of fear to describe what stop us and prevent us from creating our dreams. And our dreams come through different expressions of art. Now, art is multi-dimensional. It's an unknown. It's a form of creation that can come out of nothing, which is the power of God, right? Because we are created in God's image. But what I've noticed on a really grounded level, and what art does for me, is it helps me ascend. It's an ascension process because it helps me. And I'm going to use the example of my podcast. That's the best way I know how, but it also happened through drawing and through music production and writing. Like I've found, and Hazel's witnessed this, I can write I'm writing a book, I'm writing several books simultaneously, and I write something in my book, like I do 2,000 words or something, and then the next day it happens. It's wild, absolutely wild. And this process of art that I'm going through with my podcast is absolutely incredible. When I first started it, I was saying this to Rena yesterday, when I first started it was called The Lion's Share, because we were doing work on the lion's share, right? And I thought it was about sharing my voice as a lion-hearted man, but it's not. It's something completely different. So because I had this fascination with sharing the profound wisdom of spirit animals, I got to episode 12, and episode 13 just didn't want to show itself. And so this process of art I had to surrender to with Hazel's help, and I had to just stop, which was really painful for me. And then months and months later, I got the intuition to do episode 13, which was and rename it, which I'm going to talk about. But I started with episode 13, which is 13 is the number of death, which is the deep feminine. It was about the wasp. And it's so profound, because one of my first spiritual contact with spirit animals was the wasp, and it helped me understand understand jealousy. And I had to rename it He Lives, because it's about Pan, the nature of Pan, the true human nature, the spirit of nature of mankind. Pan is the spirit of nature. He Lives is a spell on lived backwards is, spells devil. And in the cards, the tarot cards, they have the goat or the stag as representations of Pan, and they demonize him. And he's the representation of the deep masculine, whereas Adam is the light masculine. But he was it's actually the other way around. The person it demonizes is actually the demon. Anyway, what I've noticed every time I did a podcast about that animal, it was an expression of my ancestor. And as you can see in the videos we've done on the Holy Grail that night on the 28th of February, and I'm still editing them because it was so much happened, it showed me that through the gift of expression of those stories of art, I received enormous walk-ins and parts of my soul back through Ascension, through creating that art. Like when I did the wasp episode, I was able to receive an enormous ego death through being allowed into the depths with of Gaia and the feminine. And then when I did the Robin podcast, I was able to understand how the energy of betrayal through Judas sits within the feminine and prevents the masculine from connecting in true love and true friendship with the feminine. This is profound art. Then I did the stag, and I received a walk-in of holiness. I became a holy man. Then I did episode 16, which is about the falling tower in the tarot. And I thought, what was that? That was the crab. That was one of my favourite ones, because I opened up storytelling. And when I was speaking it, I received expansion. And it is just incredible. And then I did episode 17, which I think was the Loch Ness Monster. And she came into the house and she was swimming around. We were like, oh my God, what's going on? It felt like the whole house was underwater. And this process of art has just been getting more and more and more profound. And the bat episode is absolutely huge, because our guides have been telling us that we need to come out and tell people who we truly are. And we've been trying to find a way of telling that isn't unbelievable, where people are just going to think that we're absolute loonies. Absolute loonheads.
Well, the thing is that we are living into this new frequency of the sacred human.
The new human.
The new human, yeah.
HUE -MAN, human,
yeah,
the man of all colours.
Human by human.
Yeah, we're the
By
race of sacred colours, essentially rainbow warriors. Right?
Yeah, because this is on the unlocking of the rainbow body. And so this is one of the profound things about working with art. So not only does art unlock the journey of your life, of who you are, you start to see the divine reflection of the dark and the light, the black and the white. And you start coming into this union, but also game of life with yourself when you start understanding your life journey. And this is why when we look back at historical events like genocide and the Second World War, and even what's been happening these last few years, like this repetitive energy, even the witch hunts, all of this, the same thing is connected. And when you start telling your own story through your own life story, like you've been saying with the podcast, right? You start unlocking yourself. Now, this is taking journaling and drawing pictures or making art to a whole new level of expanded consciousness and awareness that brings you into sacred union with yourself, activating these frequencies and these codes that are available right here, right now. And this is where the activation energies of the new humans are coming alive. And this is the restoration of the tribes, because people are remembering who they are. And when you remember who you are, you remember through vibration your sisters and brothers, and that we're all one and that we're all connected. And it's amazing. And so you're talking about activating all the colours within you. So this is also something that's so beautiful, is that when you are working through your own story, like these are like incredible shamanic gifts. These are what, the shamans talk about, sitting round a fire and sharing the gifts of humanity together. Ancient storytelling is a form of art in itself that reveals the stories of who we are. And I mean true stories told from the heart, from the innate, from that voice that's awakening from within. And so blending all of these together, and this is why knowing methods and living life on methods is going to become more and more irrelevant, because these codes are awakening within you, and you will need to become the greatest, biggest storyteller of your life journey through yourself.
Yeah.
Breaking the karmic timelines of your body, of your heritage, opening up the golden vaults within you, and truly unifying, not from knowing any methods, truly unifying yourself through mastering, becoming a master journey maker within yourself, where you start to see that darkness merging with the light, unifying, yin yang. This goes beyond a symbol, this goes beyond a deep embodiment. And when you unify that within yourself, it's not just like, oh, that's great, I've got my masculine and feminine in balance, I'm totally sorted now. No, it unlocks. And you can't force this, you can't know this. It's something that awakens within you. And you will see this if you start treating your life journey as a work of art in itself. And this is exactly what I do. And this is the gift that I'm sharing. This is the work of the chalice, becoming a clear vessel so that these energies, this wisdom, can all start to become alive. And when you unlock those vaults of the black and the white, the dark and the light, and the synergy of becoming one and whole through that, you break the spell.
Yeah.
And the rainbow body is unlocked.
And I want to talk about the rainbow body now. You said the innate. What is the innate, right? And I talk about the story, the full story is on my back podcast, The Truth of the Christed Ones. We are the Christed ones. The innate is the full culmination of your initial incarnations and different incarnations on this planet as human and other races that came here to give the gift to the chalice of creation, to the womb of Mother Earth, to the human, the new human, for this time now, right now.
Yeah.
And the innate is the full activation of those lost codes that have remained dormant in our DNA, which science calls junk DNA. 98%, roughly. Yeah. And when that is activated, which has happened in us, more so Hazel, incredible things happen, like, stuff that is, it's just really fairy tale stuff, sci-fi stuff. I've seen you do stuff that make me want to run out of the room because it scared me so much, and that's true.
So much love.
Yeah. And and I've done some really cool stuff as well. But it's not about the cool stuff. It's about reclamation, justice, divine justice, reclaiming the lost parts of our soul, our heritage. And this is where the conversation now leads into tribe. Now, the Bat podcast is about the true story of Christ, right? And the Christed ones, why we're here, why we forgot, divine justice, the game of love. But I also talk into there about dogma, and how dogma is the representation of Antichrist, which makes us believe that everything that is divine about ourselves is outside of ourselves, and we end up seeking for this dangling carrot through this idea of religion, which everybody is a part of, because everybody believes their divinity is outside of them. Even when we believe it is inside us, there's still a part of us that doesn't. Otherwise, we would be divine pieces of God, soul embodied, full innate activation, rainbow body, walking around here on earth, which is essentially what we are doing and integrating. And it's a long process. We've done the inward part, we're now doing the outward part, and the more we come out, the more of our innate lands.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Yeah, and is integrated. And the way they severed us from each other through family, the love of family and tribe. The first is the initial family, the problems that originate in our families, the trauma that's passed down from generation to generation to create different branches, endless branches of narcissistic behavior. How they did that was horrendous. Now, it's mainly through genocide and slavery. Now, if I use karma as a good example of, let's say Lemuria, for example, was the first civilization, Atlantis 2, Egypt 3, Avalon 4, and now we're in 5. Let's just use that as a basic example. Obviously, there were many other generations, but the original, let's use World War II, right, is a karmic watered down version of the war from Lemuria. Can you imagine how horrific that must have been if World War II and the Nazis and all of that is a watered down version? Can you imagine? Right? And we're in World War III now, but it's not the Germans, and it's hidden behind a veil, right? We're actually in World War III. And this is so they managed to, essentially what they did, right, they said, if you don't comply to us using you as slaves, we'll kill you and we'll murder everyone that you ever loved, right? So you had the choice of being enslaved, being killed, or going into hiding. And those that went into hiding held the pure codes for justice, standing in love, and protecting the divine codes of the Christed ones. Those who became slaves embodied more of the fear coding and lost more of their DNA. That's why some people are more advanced in spiritual ascension and evolution to those who are in a deeper sense of ignorance. Those who are in a deeper sense of ignorance and denial have deeply rooted pain and shame signals from that, let's say that betrayal of, I don't want to lose my life, I'm going to sign up for slavery, essentially. And today that translates as There's over 8 billion people on the planet, and a huge majority of that are just trying to make money, just trying to survive. And that is slavery.
Yeah.
That is slavery. Hazel and I, as a pure example, in 2020, which is when we met, we went the opposite direction to everyone. I quit my job, and Hazel didn't even have a job because she's always been self-employed, just being an artist, but always not finding that way to be successful because she didn't want to be enslaved by that old energy of money. I have been clearing out that enslavement energy, and we went the opposite way when the virus hit, the whatever you want to call it, but the lockdown, and we went in, and now we're popping out, and we've rid ourselves of that ancient enslavement energy, genocide, all of the horrible stuff,
Karmic entrapment.
And we've healed karma, and that's taken a huge amount of devotion and effort. We talk about this, and we could only have done this together. Like I've done a video on Divine Union. It's called Divine Union Explained, right? And the level of work that I did on myself before I met Hazel was enormous. But like, I could spend 4 weeks when I first met Hazel. Spend 4 weeks with Hazel, so the opposite sex, with the feminine. It was like the equivalent in 4 weeks. I could do the equivalent of 10 years' work on my own. It's ridiculous. It's huge quantum leaps, because there is hidden coding in holding space with the opposite sex in the way that we've done it. That is just profound.
Yeah.
This is the reclamation of healing and divine justice. Justice is getting back everything that was taken from us. That's divine justice.
Yeah, as in what was taken from us, our unique ability to
divinity.
Access our innate codes.
Yes.
The truth of who we are.
Yeah, the belief of our divinity.
Yeah.
The belief of it. The anchor of our inner belief, our inward belief. Because everything was turned inside out, turned upside down. This is why the bat's so important, because it hangs on the ceiling. And I found myself, when we were doing chakra work, that my Earth Star chakra should be under my feet, but because my feet were clinging onto the top of the cave, it was upside down. And so I couldn't be anchored here on Earth as a man. I couldn't be present. That, on its own, should be profoundly enough for you to go, oh my God.
Yeah. So what does this translate as? Because when I was having my breakdown 5 years ago, I was like, okay, so what am I going to do with all this? Well, in seeing all of this, like you were saying, like basically everybody's hanging upside down. They're all like closed, wrapped in their cocoons.
And inside out.
Inside out, upside down. Most people are actually outside. they're not even in. So
But this is dogma, that it teaches you to put everything outside of you.
Complete severance, yeah. So when I had this realisation, and you know, at this point I was being born every morning and dying every evening for 3 months straight, I realised, well, okay, my God, I'm not going to participate in that anymore. What do I do? I don't know what to do. I've never done it before. And the first steps is really to just do the opposite. Where you have abandoned yourself, you start loving yourself. Where you have betrayed people, you start serving people. Like, you just start doing the opposite. Where you have been hiding, you start showing up.
Yeah.
You know.
Right on.
Yeah, and this is how we start reclaiming, working together as a humanity again.
Yeah.
And doing the opposite. Where you have been greedy, you start offering. Where you have been hoarding, you start releasing. You know, it's really that simple in a way. And then, but you know, in theory it's simple, but you have to go on that journey of oh my goodness, I can't open, I can't release. Right, okay, well, those are the gatekeepers of the ego, of the conditioning and the patterning that is stopping that from happening. And that's where you start going in and doing the inner work and unlocking yourself, freeing yourself, so that then you can free others.
Yeah.
And through this, through all of this, like, and this is why the old systems, and you're talking about money, etc., they don't work anymore. Even these like these soul business things and how to make money on, you know, getting the right channels on this, that, or other. Actually, yes, okay, and really not. Like there's something else completely new available through these frequencies, and through unlocking yourself out of freedom. Because in a way, you start to see how irrelevant all of that is when you come into love, like true love, living love. Like really, all of that becomes irrelevant. You're no longer looking after your own ass. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm alone. Where's the tribe? Let's start resonating so that the tribe comes back in.
Yeah, and so what does new tribe look like, right? We've been trying to find a way to come out to show who we truly are, right? And we have to be very delicate and humble about how we express that, because we don't want to come across as that we're greater than anyone. We're not. We're all we all look up to each other. We're all great, but it's just we have remembered. We've remembered who we are because we took that journey inward to do that. And what I'm learning through my back podcast channeling is that the power of the bat is reincarnation, life, death, rebirth. And the process I'm remembering is that I have been carrying this divine blood gift of the masculine as a son of God through multiple lifetimes to deliver the gift of the masculine in this lifetime. And I'm not sure what that is yet. I'm still learning. But you've been doing that already as a divine feminine. And we're trying to help people understand that everything people is wishing for, it's already here. It's already here, but everybody's... How can I say this? It's so big. There's this huge outward expanse into when is it going to happen? What is it going to look like? Where is it? What do I need to do to receive it? Can I just be here and receive it? None of that is true. In a sense, it's completely irrelevant because it's all inside. You're not going to find it on the internet. You're not going to find it in a book. You have to take the inward journey. But the inward journey is challenging. And myself personally, Hazel and I personally, we found that, and I'd like to hear your opinion on this, but this is why I do so many videos on plant medicine integration, while I'll be doing books on it as well, is that we could never have got this far without working with plant medicine. No way.
And working with it correctly in a sacred way.
Yeah.
In a very sacred way, and
yeah,
connecting it into the story of your life.
Art.
Your art.
The art of life, the ceremony of life, yeah. And this is what my book is going to be about, right? Now, plant medicine, like I talk about this, turning a psychedelic experience into psychedelic reality. This is what we've done. Like most people, we haven't met anyone that's done it in this way, right? Where the old way is to go to use plant medicine for healing, have an amazing experience, and not knowing what to do with that. We found a way of knowing what to do with that by staying in constant contact with spirit, right? Like we've got so many guides, but we have a couple of main guides, yeah. And through their guidance and through our own inner soul guidance and unlocking our innate, which I want to talk about because that's profound, we've found a way to work with the medicine in such a profound level that we could become the medicine and live the medicine outside of taking medicine, essentially. But what Hazel did back in 2021 is she had a huge embodiment of her innate. Her innate came in, which means a huge chunk of her higher self, or a deeper self, however you want to say that. And through that, we realised that we were onto something completely new.
Yeah.
Something completely different.
It's really that bridge between the lost ancient, that which was killed in the genocides, in the witch hunts, in the destroyings of the tribe, the indigenous. It's so old. It's ancient, yeah, and it really bridges. It's like the original core energy of remembrance of who you truly are.
Earthseed.
Yeah.
Not starseed.
And bridging that to now. And that's the rainbow bridge. That's the rainbow bridge.
Let me explain.
That's the golden light.
Let me explain to you the rainbow bridge, right? When I was embodying my innate, Hazel's came through in a massive chunk. Mine's been coming in small chunks. But when I really wanted to know who I was, and before I found out who I am, I used to ask our guides loads of questions because I didn't know how to find the answers within me. I said, who am I? And they would never give me a direct answer. Spirit never really does until you figure out yourself. But they gave me a huge clue. They said, you're a bridge. And I was like, I'm a bridge? Well, that's really interesting. And it's taken me 4 years to realise the different meanings of what that means. And the warrior of the sacred rainbow warrior, that came to me as well through my ancestors. And essentially the bridge is the prophecy of, the bridge is the healing. It's the healing of separation. The bridge is the connection of the human body from the earth to the heavens. It's the prophecy of uniting heaven and earth, paradise on earth. It's the resurrection of the Garden of Eden. It's the healing of God's shadow. It's the healing of distortion. It's the eradication of ego. It's the eradication of ego, which is Antichrist. It's the healing of dogma. It's the biggest wound there is. It's divine union. That's what the bridge is. We are the bridge. We are the Christed ones. This is the secret of humanity. We are the Christed ones. We are the divine plan of God and a goddess playing the game of life, creating vessels that can hold the divine light of God and goddess here on earth.
Yeah.
That's the innate.
Yeah.
And that's what we've done. And we're just rebirthing ourselves now outwardly. But how do we get people to listen?
Thank you for listening. Whoever's listening. Please like and share, and get in contact with us as well. There's some lucky people who've really felt the resonance of what we're talking about, and
we've changed their lives in a matter of weeks.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So stop being silent. Reach out.
Yeah. And who recognise really the true vibration of what we're talking about through resonance, frequency, and you know, when we talk about things like the rainbow body, the prophecy of the rainbow warriors, the golden road, the chalice, These are not just things. You cannot steal these things. You can read as much about it as you like, but I invite you to take the journey and realize, like, you know, the ego is going to kick up a fuss because it's like, oh, I know about that, I've read about this, I can feel this, oh yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, let's see how much you get it when you actually decide that you've had enough of this fake reality and start taking the journey. And you know, I don't wish what I've been through on anyone, but I do wish that everybody would unlock their own powerful, beautiful story of their own life. And that story will give you the coding of what you are destined for to deliver in this life. Most people are not living what they should be living. Even if you're successful, even if you've got all these exterior things, house, money, car, travel a lot, whatever it is, there'll still be a place within you which is like, I think there's something more.
Yeah, it's the return to innocence. This is what I spoke about in my Awakening video, right? It is possible to reclaim that which we had as children.
Yeah, totally.
Don't do that.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, it was a spider.
Yeah, I like spiders.
Yeah.
It's a jumping spider, one of my favourites.
Yeah, it's all right.
You see that? He jumped on the...
Yeah, it's on your trainers now.
So, yeah, it's about the return to innocence. The return to innocence is our greatest power. It's the greatest form of light there is, like a child's innocence. That's why it's used against us. When you see an adult running around doing roly-polies in the sand and building sandcastles, unless they're with their children, because they've given away their innocence. And I've been working recently, just starting to open the spirit animal, the panda. Like, if you watch a panda, they don't give a shit. They don't give a fuck. They're doing roly-polies and falling over and sitting on their arse all day, doing whatever they want. That's innocent. That's innocence, right? And there's so many different forms of innocence, but really it's a powerful form of creation if you can put that into art. And this is why it's so difficult to reclaim that level of innocence.
Let me go into that.
Is extremely painful.
Yeah. Well, it is painful because it really means looking at where the wounds came from as a child, where you were wounded by elders or people older than you, whether, you know, any kind of peers, and that is the filtration of these intergenerational wounds again that comes down, that also tries to pass the buck onto you as a child, which says, yeah, I was wounded, I'm going to pass it on to you. So when you really start doing the inner child work and you really start healing that, and then you go beyond the healing of the inner child, going, well, that's just how I am, I'm sitting with those wounds, this is how I am now, you know. You can also go beyond all of that and any labels that may be put on you due to your trauma or your behaviour. You can also go beyond all of that. And you also go beyond, like, you know, when the ego's up, it's pretty childish behaviour a lot of the time. It's, you know, you see all of our world leaders right now, they're all a whole bunch of wounded children running around trying to rule the show. That's basically what happens inside of you as well. And the reclamation of innocence is pure. It's pure wild heart that is so powerful. And having that as your guide, rather than that wounded child that's running around causing havoc, self-righteous, egotistical, wanting stuff, anything outside of you, all of that gets transformed.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond. When
bliss.
You keep going, it goes, yeah. And then the innocence is leading. So instead of being childish, you know, it's like, oh, I had an argument with my partner, he was really childish, or she was acting like a right baby. You know, you go beyond all of that reality and you open up the beautiful box, keys, sacred spaces, medicine pouch, however you want to call it, of your own divine innocence. This is the true returning home. This is the true returning home. And you bring that innocence with you. and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Should we wrap up there?
Yeah. I just wanted to say that there's a lot more I can say on genocide. Don't disregard it. Genocide moves from tribe to tribe. Like, it's happening now in India and Pakistan. I'm not talking about genocide, but it's war, right? But genocide is the massacre of heritage, which is connected to tribe. The massacre of shamanism.
Yeah.
The latest, most recent example is the Native Americans.
Yeah.
Right.
They killed their spiritual leaders first.
Yeah, and the reason I'm talking about genocide is I want people who are listening to realise that you've experienced that. It's in your DNA. The memory is in your DNA, and at some point you will have to grieve that. It's also a collective energy that prevents tribe from coming together. And when they crucified Jesus, which I talk about in my Bat podcast, when they crucified Jesus, it was a warning. This is what happens when you worship love. That's why they keep those crucifixes up in the churches with him nailed to the cross, bleeding everywhere. Like, come on. End the crucifixion of love. The other reason they did it was to show everyone that they could kill God, because that's who Jesus was, a representation of God here on earth. He unlocked his innate, because like us, like me, we remember how to die without dying. He knew the gifts of reincarnation in this lifetime.
Yeah.
We reincarnate our innate into this body.
Yeah.
And this is what we're doing, everyone.
Join us for the journey.
Yeah, join us.
So we can share these codes with you, and show you how to unlock the art of your own life.
And change the world.
Yeah.
Really change the world. Peace on earth.
Yeah, lots of love.
Not this old 60s nonsense. Real peace. Not this hippie nonsense.
No. This is really new earth peace.
Yeah.
So, yeah, lots of love. Please like and subscribe, share with friends, and sign up to our
and
newsletters.
Donate. Give us the money, please.
Oh, yeah. Please donate generously to allow us to keep this work going.
Yeah,
so we can share
this
it.
is our main message that we've been afraid to say, is that we really need donations so that we can bring this alive.
We
all
need
these
support.
projects of art and support. Yeah, because we don't want to give our money. Receive money from the old system, give money in the old system, and we want to create something new that is going to last.
And in the
forever.
future, we will be, when we are able to, we will be setting up a foundation so that this work can be carried on as a legacy. So yeah, any support we get right now is really super valued. Thank you so much. So much love.
Really, really, thank you. Gratitude. Peace and fortune for anyone who is listening.
Lots of love.
Bye-bye.
Like, subscribe, like, subscribe, like.